Hi, I'm Dan Michasuchu. Welcome to Software Project Management Course Notes, a podcast created based on Agile software development online classes I deliver to Software Engineering Master Program at the Faculty of Mathematics and Computer Science from Babeș-Bolyai University. Slices. Okay, another aspect. So let's talk about differences on approaching communication in traditional methodologies and agile methodologies. Well, all of the agile methodologies are designed to optimize communication among various stakeholders, not only among team members, but also the communication between team members and different stakeholders. And these methodologies favor face-to-face communication, as we saw in the fifth principle, and tend to de-emphasize written documents. Well, of course, accepting those documents that can provide real-time support for face-to-face communication. The intention here is not to completely eliminate the documentation from agile projects. Why? Because they all pay primary attention to communication among project team members and between the team and the customer. Anyway, it doesn't matter how what that word customer means. It could be any stakeholder. But on the other hand, in a traditional methodology, the communication is also supported. They are not against communication. But they tend to assume that the appropriate communication will result from the prescribed activities and prescribed documents. But unfortunately, this assumption sometimes remains unmet, as each party does what is required on them and reads their own biases into documents. So they interpret in different ways the content of such a document. There are a lot of misunderstandings that could appear there. At the same time, going back to agile methodologies, I have to say that the tendency to not document the results of communication sometimes can cause problems, because people's memories are often faulty, and two people can have very different memories of the same thing. So a more appropriate philosophy here might state something like, if something is worth talking about, then it is also worth recording what was said. So it is the conclusion. A summary of our discussion is very good to be written somewhere in a document or in an email, and to be shared with everybody in the team. Now, also we can see that this face-to-face communication is nurtured, let's say, or is fostered in agile methodologies, by agile methodologies. We can see this also from the way a team is organized. In a traditional project, we have a hierarchical organization, and usually the communication goes on a vertical way, from the manager to team members, and from the team members to manager again back. In Agile, we have self-organizing teams. Everybody talks with everybody. Everybody communicates with everybody, with anyone from that team, and this is seen as being very, very useful in order to progress with our project and to understand what has to be done. Anyway, in order to have a performant self-organizing team, we have to be careful to the size of that team, to not have more than 9 people in that team. Otherwise, that communication will become chaotic. We already discussed about this. Okay, now the approach of learning in both traditional and agile contexts. And here, each of the agile methods treat the project as a learning experience. And they acknowledge that at the beginning of the project, neither the customer, nor the developers, nor the team members have a complete understanding of what must be built there. But the traditional methods includes learning into the project lifecycle. And there it is assumed that all that is needed to plan the project is available during the planning phase. It is also assumed that all of the requirements are understood during the requirement phase, and so on. So for each phase, we have all the inputs necessary to build the deliverables of that phase. And when this turns out not to be the case, the resulting deviation is documented and corrective actions are taken. But the reality is that every stakeholder in every project continually learns throughout the life cycle of the project. If we expect that this will not be the case, means that we believe in miracles. So at the same time, not everything that is learned is necessary and is good for the project. So we have to be careful about this. Each new piece of information should be evaluated, and after that should be integrated into the project only if that piece of information provides value to the customer or to the other very important stakeholders. So I really recommend you this movie. It is called The Backwards Brain Bicycle, and it is about habits and how difficult it is to change some of our habits. So it proves that it is very difficult to become agile when you work a lot of time on traditional projects because you have a very specific mindset, and that mindset is very difficult to be changed. And this experiment is about a special bicycle, as you can see in this picture, is with uh, something like when you turn right, the wheel goes left, and when you turn left, the wheel goes right. So it's backwards. And that guy proves in that movie proves that it is almost impossible to ride such a bicycle if you know how to ride a normal bicycle. You need a lot of time in order to forget how to ride the previous bicycle and to forget everything and to learn to ride the new one. And he did this, he did such an experiment. He tried to ride it 5 minutes every day just to become an expert in riding this kind of bicycle. And it took 8 months to him to be able to ride it without any problems. Now, do you do you know what happens after that? What happened after that? He forgot how to ride a normal bicycle. At the end of those 8 months, when he tried to ride a normal bicycle, he was very frustrated because he was not able to do it. He needed 15 minutes or 20 minutes to get back to those to that knowledge or to those habits and to be able to ride that bicycle. So it was a shorter time. He didn't need 8 months. He needed only 15 minutes. But it's very interesting how difficult it is to forget something, to unlearn something. Because in this picture, I have this scheme here: learn, unlearn, relearn. This phase, unlearn, is very, very difficult. And if we want to stick to our habits and to stick to the patterns we already discovered, and we think that we can use them also in other contexts. I would like to discuss is about value and risk, the approach on value and the approach on risk in both methodologies. So in the left side, we have an image of what happens in a waterfall context, where that gray rectangle represents the value we deliver to the customer, and that orange curve represents the risk. So in this case, the value is delivered to the customer at the end of the project, when the project closes, or before closing the project, actually. And as you can see, the risk increases while we are approaching that closing. Why is this? Because at the beginning of the project, the risk is pretty low. We had plenty of time. The budget is there. We didn't bought anything yet, and the risk is not so big. But at the end of the project, the risk is very, very high. Why? Because at that moment, our customer, our client has to accept the product we developed, has to validate and verify everything we developed there. And there is a high probability that they will find some defects or some problems we have to fix. And the effort, the time we will consume on doing these fixings is relevant. Comparing with that, in Agile, the graph looks pretty different because we are delivering value to our customers very early in the life cycle of the project. And in each cycle, we deliver something new, a new version, a new release with new features, with new vertical slices developed and implemented, and we receive base feedback on those products. Anyway, as you can see, the risk decreases while we are approaching the end of the project. And this happens mainly because we try to implement from the very beginning of the project those features which are the most valued by the customer. And those features which are very, very important for the customer, which are critical for our customer, have the bigger risk. So we start handling those big risks from the beginning of the project. While we receive positive feedback, a good feedback from our customer, all the other features are less important, let's say. So we start with implementing the most important features, the must-have features. That's why the risk is a little bit higher in the beginning of the project. It's very, very, very low at the end. We know already that the product was accepted, our customer is happy, satisfied, and we have just small things to add to that product for the next release. Of course, that these are some extreme cases. Again, in reality, we can have a different situation, a different profile of these graphs. But in general, this is the main difference between the two approaches related to values and risks as well. So we can say, isn't it, that, for instance, milk or soda or water is cheapest in big cartons or in big bottles? But comparing with them, when we think about software development, about software products, software is cheapest in lots of small cartons or small bottles. And this is the effect of this approach, this difference between approaches on values and risks in Waterfall and Agile. And the last thing I would like to emphasize here is about the definition of the project. What a project is in Waterfall and what the project is in Agile, in an Agile context. So the definition of a project, may I say classic definition of a project is an endeavor which is unique and temporary. Unique means that we have to do some things we didn't do before, so there is a certain level of uncertainty. But temporary means that we have a start date and definitely an end date. So there is an end date when the project will be finished, and that end date is when so the project ends when we achieved all the objectives of our project, or it could end at the moment when we realize that we are not able to achieve those objectives. So that project is failed. It is a failure, but that's it, and it ends at that moment. Now, comparing with this in an agile context, there is no end for a project, or it is, but the end of a project means that it is also the end of the product. Why is that? And I will give you an example here. So let's compare two software applications. One of them is Moodle, which had in I don't know which was the date here. I think in 2013. Okay, so we had a weekly downloads rate of 23,039, and the last update of that application was 3 days ago. Why was that? Because it was used. There are a lot of users, a lot of clients, a lot of customers uh, which use this product. So they send a lot of feedbacks to the company which develops this product, and based on those feedbacks, they improved the product. They added more features. They added more modules and so on. Comparing it with, I don't know, Perlord or WebTorrent, weekly downloads is 0, and they were the last update of those applications were 9 months ago or 8 months ago. So there are two conclusions we can draw from this. First one is if there are users who use our product, that product will change, and only that software stops changing. So that means that we still have a team which takes care of that product if that product has users. And that team will try to improve that product, to add more features, and so on. At the moment when that product is not used anymore, that application is not used anymore, there is no user on this planet who needs that application, the project will stop. We are at the end of the project. We don't need that project team. It's an end line. So actually, it is a continuous effort to develop more things, more features, more modules, while we have a lot of users or a lot of customers, clients who are using our product. Thanks for listening to Software Project Management Course Notes. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating or a review.